my friends, welcome. Today I'm sharing with you 3 elegant fall DIYs. Let's get started. For the first part of this project, we're going to use this miniature topiary that I picked up last year from the Dollar Tree when it was still $1.25. And we're going to give them 2 coats of Rust-Oleum's Ultra Matte. And the reason I'm spray painting them before I paint them is because the Rust-Oleum has a primer in it and it will help prevent your paint from chipping, especially on plastic. For the middle pumpkin, I'm using the color Ocean, and then for the smallest pumpkin, I'm going to be using the color Cashew, and both of these are from Waverly. Now, originally, I had not intended to paint this larger pumpkin, but I later changed my mind, and I'll explain that in just a moment. We're going to be decoupaging the largest pumpkin, and we're going to be using this beautiful leopard print napkin. This is from Hobby Lobby. I think they still have them. Y'all, I've honestly had this package of napkin for about 3 years now. But anyway, I'm using a tiny paintbrush and some water and just running it along the length of the napkin and just dampening it slightly, just enough to be able to separate the edges. We're going to be decoupaging in strips onto the pumpkin, and I want my edges to be uneven and organic. To me, it just makes it blend better. Now, you can certainly cut it if that's your preference. I have also already removed the extra plies that's on the back of the napkin. We're going to add the napkin one strip at a time. I'm trying not to get too heavy-handed with the Mod Podge because too much will cause your napkin to tear, but you do want enough so your napkin will adhere. And then I'll tuck the edge of that napkin right up under the lip, and then I'm just going to use my sponge to just kind of tap it and press it into place. And then I will also put a sheet of plastic wrap over it and just kind of smooth it out and try to get some of the wrinkles out. Now, y'all, you're going to have a little bit of wrinkling. It just is what it is with this project. If you don't like wrinkling, it might not be the project for you, but I'm okay with it. But I'm just going to repeat this process all the way around the pumpkin. Just keep adding my Mod Podge, put a strip of my napkin, and then just smooth it out with my sponge and my plastic wrap. And y'all, it was so easy to do. It really was. Now, this is the reason why I decided to go ahead and paint my pumpkin instead of just leaving it the white spray paint. As you can see, I used the cashew color. It blends almost perfectly with the background of the napkin, and it's almost impossible not to have a little bit of the pumpkin showing. But anyway, I just tapped and smoothed it out, and there was very few spots that the pumpkin was actually showing through, but because I painted that cashew color, you could barely even tell it. Want to take a second, say welcome everybody. If you're new, hey, I'm Gwen. Thanks so much for stopping by. If you're returning, as always, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. If you're not subscribed and you're enjoying my videos so far, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and becoming a part of my YouTube family. After the last strip of napkin was added, I used my plastic wrap and sponge and just went over the entire pumpkin, just pressing down and smoothing out to get out any air bubbles or any excess Mod Podge that might have been under there, and just to make sure that napkin is really adhering to the pumpkin. And then I did go over the ends with another layer of Mod Podge. I set it aside, let it completely dry. I think it was a couple hours or so. Then I came back and covered the entire pumpkin with another layer of Mod Podge, and then I did let that dry overnight. I wanted to give the pumpkins a little more definition, so I'm using a fan brush and a metallic gold from Folk Art. I believe it's pure gold for the blue pumpkin, and I'm just lightly brushing over it. Some of the segments I made it a little more darker, maybe one a little heavier, but not too much. And then for the cream colored pumpkin, I started out using just the gold. It really didn't show up very well. So I put down the layer of gold, and then I'm just using a little pencil brush and the color pumpkin from Waverly and just lightly brushing over that gold. And then sometimes I even went over the pumpkin color, the orange color again with a little more gold, and then just use my finger to smudge it out. And I really love that. I thought it turned out so pretty. Now, when I was painting these, I should have taped off those lips and not painted those because it made it a little more difficult to snap back together. So I did have to press down a little bit harder than what I normally would. If you have these, be careful that you don't push so hard you crack the pumpkins. I did have a little bit of chipping around those lips, but it was nothing that you could see. I just grabbed a clean paintbrush and just lightly brushed that away. Now, these are gorgeous as they are. You can absolutely stop right here and display them, but of course we're going to take it one more step. We're going to make a textured paint using this leftover blue paint from another project and some baking soda. I'm not measuring it out, as you can see. I'm just adding it in, giving a good stir, and then I just added it in a couple more times, I believe, and just kept stirring it until I got the consistency that I'm looking for. Now, the colors that I used to get this pretty blue was elephant gray and real blue, and both of those were from Apple Barrel. Then I'm just going to use my little sponge dauber and go ahead and paint the charger. If you're wondering what this yellow stuff is in the center of the charger, that's Great Stuff foam. I love to use this in place of floral foam, and I had created this back in the summer, never got around to using it. And if you've ever seen anybody use Great Stuff foam, you know it's all lumpy bumpy when it sets up. I just used my knife and sliced off the lumpy bumpy parts, and then my sanding block and just gently went over it, smoothed it out. Now this is a great base for your florals. I'm going to use a variety of greenery for my base. Some of it I already had on hand. Some of it is new this year and it came from Michael's. I get a very nice gift card from Michael's every year for my birthday, so that helps me stock up on my fall supplies. And I also like to use it and hit those clearance sales for the summer and spring florals for 70 and 90% off. Just a little tip to help you stock up and save some money there. But anyway, I am just inserting the greenery. I'm rotating it out, and because I am using this foam, it is a little more difficult to push the greenery in sometimes. So if I look like I'm having a hard time, sometimes I am. But this stuff, I love it. It's so versatile and it is so cheap now, especially with the prices at Dollar Tree going up. Aren't these sunflowers absolutely stunning? And can you believe they came from Walmart? I could not believe they had such high quality flowers there. I paid like $6.97 for the whole bush. You get four of these gorgeous sunflowers, three or four mums, some berries, and greenery. It was absolutely worth it. I hope you can find it at your local Walmart. But anyway, I'm only going to be using three for this arrangement, and I'm just going to space them out evenly, sort of in a triangle, and then in between each of the sunflowers we're going to pop in some of these mums, and these are really pretty also. Next, we're going to add in some of these little blue flowers. These are from Michael's as well, and I want to give a shout out to my sweet subscriber Susan for this inspiration. She had mentioned in the comments on one of my other videos that she loved the color blue jean and sunflowers, and I had found these sunflowers at my Walmart, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the color blue jean would be beautiful with these pale yellow sunflowers. So this inspiration was born. Again, thank you, Susan. I love these, are so pretty. After I added in the topiary, I realized I did not care for these little white sunflowers that I had popped in, so I do remove those in just a moment. But first I'm going to add some moss to fill in any little holes or gaps that's in the arrangement, and also to help cover up the foam around the topiary. I felt the arrangement needed a little pop of color, so I'm going to add in these sweet little orange flowers. These actually came from Hobby Lobby this year, and I thought this was just the perfect finishing touch. For this project, you're going to need a wooden pumpkin, and this one came from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to begin by outlining or painting around the outside of this pumpkin. I'm just using this little sponge dauber, and the color paint that I'm using is by Folk Art. It's a metallic paint, and it's pure gold. Next, we're going to paint only one side of the pumpkin, and I've mixed two colors together. It's real blue and elephant gray from Apple Barrel. I just mixed the two colors together until I got this really pretty blue, and I'm only painting one side of the pumpkin because on the other side, we're going to be using a peel and stick from the Dollar Tree. These peel and sticks are actually new to my local Dollar Trees, and when I finally saw them, I just could not resist picking them up. I think they're so gorgeous and high end looking. But anywho, I'm just going to trace around the outside of the pumpkin, and then we'll go ahead and cut it out. I'm going to remove that smaller strip first and then just line it up as best I can and just smooth it down and make sure it's attached to the bottom of the pumpkin. And then I'll just gradually start to pull that larger piece back and just smooth as I go. These are so easy to use and apply. And I've got this little tool that came with my brayer. It works great for smoothing out projects like this. I'm also going to use my brayer in a moment because I do want to go all the way around the edges of my pumpkin and just make sure that this peel and stick is just really adhered to that wood. And then I'll just go ahead and hit it with my finger sander and remove the excess paper. We're going to embellish the stem just a little bit. We're going to use this beautiful gold cord, and this is from Amazon. I'll have it at my Amazon store for you if you're interested, but we're not going to completely cover this stem. We're only going to go up about halfway. A little trick that I like to use when I'm using cord or twine or anything like that to keep it from fraying, I wrap the ends with just a little bit of clear scotch tape and then I cut it, and it works so well to keep your cord or whatever you're using from fraying. I made a very simple bow with a variety of ribbons, everything I had on hand except for the blue, and that came from Amazon. And I just layered them on top of each other, folded them over like I'm making an awareness ribbon, and then just cinched them in the center and tied it off with a zip tie. And I'm just hot gluing them right to the corner of the pumpkin. And then to cover up that zip tie, we're gonna pop in this sweet little pumpkin. And y'all, I think this came from Hobby Lobby. I've had it at least 3 years or a whole card of them. It's like 10 or 12 on there, and I'm slowly working my way through them. I'm going to use the same color metallic gold that I used for the outline of the pumpkin. I'm just using a baby wipe to apply it. And these came from Hobby Lobby. I actually picked these up last year. They were like a packet of 6, if I remember correctly. 3 natural, 3 orange. So I don't know if they'll have them again this year, but they are just so cute. And it says Happy Fall if you can't read it. But the reason I'm using the baby wipe to apply the gold paint is because these are so small, and if you use a brush, at least for me anyway, because I'm sloppy with paint, you get little globs and in the little nooks and crannies of these little signs. So to me, I'm able to keep better control when I use a white, but that's just my preference. And once it's dry, I'll use some Gorilla Gel Glue to attach it to the pumpkin. I'm going to use the leftover paint from the pumpkin to paint this stand, and y'all, I have no idea where this stand came from. It's been in my stash for forever. And I'm also going to go ahead and paint the two tumbling tower blocks just to make them blend in with the stand, and you'll see how I'm going to use them in just a moment. The opening of the stand is a little bit wider than the pumpkin, so I'm putting down a pretty heavy layer of hot glue to try to fill that in a little bit. Then I'm just going to center up my pumpkin as best I can, and then I'll just hold it in place until that hot glue starts to set up. And once it's had time to set up, I'm going to use the two tumbling tower blocks and then just hot glue them on the back of the stand to help support the pumpkin. And that's it, y'all. This was just such a fun and easy little project to do. So inexpensive, but it is so high end and elegant looking. But I would love to know what you think about it. We're going to make a beautiful fall wreath using this recycled grapevine wreath. I'm not sure of the size. My daughter gave this to me, but if I had to guess, it would probably be about a 16 or 18 inch. Anyway, we're going to use a variety of greenery that came from Michael's this year. And these ferns I picked up, I know these are more summer type greenery, but you know what? It's still early fall and we're still seeing a lot of green. So we're going to use this as our base. If you are worried about the fern being a little too bright of green, you can take it outside and very, very lightly spray paint it with some tan or light brown paint. Again, very lightly, and it will tone down that bright green. But I'm not worried about it. It's the base of my wreath and it's going to be covered up by flowers. But anyway, next I'm going to go in with some of this darker greenery. This is eucalyptus, and this came from Michael's as well. We're going to use more of those gorgeous yellow sunflowers because I want the wreath to complement the centerpiece that I made, because the centerpiece is going to go in my living room on my entry table, and this will be on my front door. And I can't wait for y'all to see the finished products, y'all. They are so beautiful. Anyway, I'm going to use two of the sunflowers on top and then two on the bottom. Then I'm just going to start to fill in around the flowers with some of this curly eucalyptus. It's also from Michael's, and then I'll add in some of these little blueberries. This came from the bush that the sunflowers was on, And we're also going to add in some of these sweet little blue flowers. These are from Michael's as well, and they are so pretty, and I just love this blue with these yellow sunflowers. Next, we're going to add in 3 of these white velvet pumpkins, and these came from Walmart a couple of years ago. Y'all, these are so gorgeous. I stocked up on them a couple of years ago, and I only have one little bunch of them left after this project, but they are so beautiful. I hope that Walmart will have more of them again this year. Next, we're going to add in some of these sweet little dahlias. These are from the Dollar Tree, and I am so loving this color combination this year. The blue and the yellow and the orange is just so pretty. And I'm just going to continue to add in these little blue fuzzy things. I don't know what they are. I've had them for years, so I decided to pop them into this wreath for just a little bit of added texture, and I needed to fill in some holes that were here and there. And I'm also going to use these little white, all it says on the tag is cream berry. So, and these are from Michael's as well. I'm just going to pop them in here and there in the wreath and just fill in any little holes that might be left. Y'all, this is my favorite bow of all time to make. I absolutely love it. Not only is it super easy to make, but you can really pull whatever ribbon you might have on hand. If you only have a little bit of one color, that's okay. Just make one loop and one tail and it'll work with this. But how to make your loops, I just put a little bit of hot glue on one end and then I just fold the other up, tap it into place. That simple, that easy. For these loops, I did 18-inch loops and 18-inch tails. For the tails, way too long, but that's okay. We trim that down and make it work in just a bit. For this particular bow, I like to use my Easy Bow Maker to hold my ribbon, and I just pinch the tail in the center and just push it down between the two dowels, and you see I have the tail going in one direction, and then I'll take my loop and pinch it in the center, and then I'm going to crisscross it where the loop is going in the opposite direction of the tail, as you can see what I'm doing here on screen. And then I'm just going to repeat that all the way up. If you have problems like I do with holding a lot of ribbon at one time, the Easy Bow Maker is perfect for a bow like this. It will hold all of your ribbon and allow you to continue to work without having cramps or whatever in your fingers. I found mine on Amazon, but I'm sure you can get them at Hobby Lobby, Michael's, anywhere like that. Once I get all the ribbon stacked, I'll just push it down really tightly. Then I'll start to close my zip tie. Now, don't tighten it completely right here until after I pull it off of the Easy Bow Maker, because I want to make sure that my ribbon is just like I want it. And then once I make sure everything is just like I want it, I'll go ahead and just pull it real tight and then just cut off that extra piece. Now, I'll tell y'all, I did remove some of this ribbon. As you can see, it's just way too much. I removed the mesh ribbon and then the piece that's on the bottom, the beige with the white lace on it. I removed that, and the bow just looked so much better and it was so much more manageable. To attach the bow, I linked 2 zip ties together because one wasn't quite big enough, and then ran it through that zip tie that's holding all the ribbon together, and then I just flipped the wreath over and just pulled it real tight, ensured that the bow was really secured, snipped off that excess, and then you just will want to fluff to make sure your bow's all nice and pretty. Now, I did forget to mention that I added in some of this brown mesh ribbon. This is from the Dollar Tree. I replaced that really thick beige ribbon with this, and I think this looks so much better. To cover up the zip tie in the center of the bow, we're going to use this button, and then to cover up those 2 holes of the button, we're going to add our finishing touch, and this is this sweet little pumpkin. This is from Hobby Lobby as well, and I think it's just the perfect finishing touch. I am so in love with how this turned out. Oh my gosh, y'all, I am just really happy with it. I hope that you love it as much as I do. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Please tell me down below. Thanks so much for stopping by, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and you're not subscribed, I'd like to invite you to hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, go ahead and smash that like button as well. I sure would appreciate it, and it really helps my channel to continue to grow. And if you're looking for some more fall inspiration, I have a wonderful video right here for you to watch. I'll see you soon.